have confirmed that students have participated in the TikTok challenge, where they short out their laptops by inserting a sharp metal object into the USB port. Fires were reported at schools in Derby, Cromwell, and Newington, and reportedly involved puncturing of the lithium battery. Newington Fire Marshal DJ Zordan spoke with Fox 61 and explained the danger that this new trend presents.
The danger is not just to themselves. So obviously, by tampering with the equipment, in our case, it caused more smoke than fire. We don't want anybody inhaling that stuff. There is a potential that the batteries might explode. It doesn't just endanger the person that's doing this, it does endanger anybody that's in the immediate area as well.
Parents and guardians are being asked to speak to their children and discourage them from this kind of dangerous activity. A man has been arrested and accused of making threats on a city bus in Bridgeport. The incident happened Monday morning in the area of Post and North Benson Roads. Police responded and investigated, arresting the man who was accused of making the threats. Police say the unidentified man was found to be in possession of a knife. A Bridgeport man will spend between 5 and 15 years in prison for causing a deadly crash in New York by driving the wrong way. Jose Espinal admits that he had a few drinks before driving the wrong way on the Hutchinson River Parkway in Rye, just across the border from Connecticut. The crash killed 62-year-old William Salibi of Greenwich, whose car burst into flames after being hit head-on by one driven by Espinal. A Bridgeport man is expected to receive a sentence of a decade in prison for a burglary spree in Norwalk. Derek Ramirez pleaded guilty in the case earlier this year and was scheduled to be sentenced yesterday in Stamford Superior Court. However, the judge delayed sentencing until July 8th. Ramirez is also expected to be sentenced to spend 5 years on probation at that hearing. Starting today, Real ID will now be required to fly domestically. However, a grace period is still in effect. After more than 20 years of planning, a Real ID recognized by the gold star in the corner of your license will be required for any domestic flight and can be acquired at the DMV. You will be required to show a birth certificate or passport, as well as your social security card and 2 pieces of mail to obtain one. However, TSA spokesperson Dan Velez told WFSB Channel 3 that even travelers without a Real ID won't be turned away.
If you don't have a Real ID or you don't have a Real ID compliant identification, you don't plan on getting any, you'll be going through additional security screening from here on out.
A passport will still allow you to fly without any additional screening. And today is the 3rd day of the strike by around 3,000 machinists at Pratt & Whitney facilities. The strike began early Monday morning after the sides were unable to reach an agreement on a new contract. No new negotiations have been scheduled between the sides. The unionized machinists are seeking better pay and benefits, along with job security protections. Mark Natty from the Site Council of Machinists spoke with CT Insider about the concerns of protesters.
The assembly, they can move to overseas to MTU on the NEO, especially with the tariffs we have today. So that's very important to us. And they built a factory in North Carolina that does the same work as the TMC Center in East Hartford, making the blades. We need job security in this contract.
I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Upper Parkway southbound accident reported near exit 53 as things backing up over the Sikorsky Bridge. On the northbound side, accident reported between exit 49 and exit 50. 95 northbound over an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport and out of New Haven on 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf going into West Haven. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
If Trumbull is talking about it, so So is Paul. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Yeah, and to something that Chris Williams mentioned on the news there, and we've been talking about it here at the station and whatever, this Real ID thing, and I'm sure Melissa and or Lisa must have touched on it. Here's the bottom line. If you have that Real ID, which is your driver's license and the star up in the right-hand corner, you're good to go. That in and of itself should get you through security, right? If you don't have that, make sure when you go to the airports, because yes, you can still fly. It's not and some of these reports you're seeing on the major networks here are not worded very well. You can still fly without a Real ID, but to play it safe, make sure you have 3 or 4 different modes of identification there. A passport, bring that with you. They're also saying you may want to bring your Social Security card, which frankly, including myself, not a lot of people carry, right? Bring the Social Security card, a notarized copy of your birth certificate. Basically, they're looking since 9/11, and this has been delayed now 20 years after the law was passed in 2005. It just adds more layers of security here to help you get through the airport. So if you have a Real ID, you're good to go. That should just get you right through security and quickly. If you don't fly a lot, you figure, hey, I don't need to do it. You can still use a driver's license along with, say, a copy of your birth certificate, your passport. That would help greatly. What did I read too? They're saying bring two bills mailed to your home address within 90 days. That's good too. So there you go. So yes, you can still fly without the Real ID. Don't panic. Just get to the airport a whole lot earlier, and bring like 17 forms of ID, and you should be okay. As we told you earlier, right here on Connecticut Today, we have seen our first puffs of smoke from the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican. They were black, and apparently because of the hour there, I don't think there'll be another vote today. So vote 1 to elect a new Bishop of Rome, as he's known, a Pope of the Catholic Church, now in the books. They will move on to how many more ballots, we don't know. Joining us right now to chat about this, she joined us a few days ago to set up the whole scenario here. Dr. Michelle Loris, who was the director of the Center for Catholic Studies at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield. Go Pios. Dr. Loris, hi. It's Paul again. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Paul. Good. How are you?
Good. Well, are you surprised that the first vote didn't elect anyone? I don't think anybody thought we would get somebody in round 1, are we?
No, I wasn't surprised. That's usually an opportunity for the Cardinals to sort of settle in and see what names are coming up. I don't think it necessarily will change who, some of those front runners might still be. They won't vote again until tomorrow. They won't go till, and then, there's 6 hours difference, six or 7 hours difference.
Yeah, I think it's 6. Right? Yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah.
Right. So what is it? It's about 9:30 there. They are now sequestered in Santa Marta house, right? Yeah. Where they probably had their evening meal. Mm-hmm. And they have very light meals. They have pasta or rice, maybe fish or chicken, a vegetable. Mm-hmm. They might have a little bit of wine, definitely no hard liquor. Well, for the Cardinals, that might be.
Well, listen, it's the 133 guys here, Dr. Loris, running a church of
That's
1.4 million. No, I get it. I understand
Billion,
it.
billion,
I'm sorry,
billion.
1.4 billion worldwide. So they're probably saying, okay, so-and-so got so many votes, so-and-so got so many votes. This cardinal didn't do as well as we thought. Wow, he did much
Right,
better.
right.
So now the deal-making begins, right? Is that what you would say?
No. The deal making has really, I wouldn't call it deal making, but that whole week that preceded this, they've had, I would say that we can say two big things have been going on.
Yeah.
So in the whole past week, there's been the mourning for the dead Pope,
Sure.
right, for Francis.
Yeah.
But there have been what are called general congregations, and so the cardinals have been listening to essentially lectures. Cardinals will get up, and they've been and the cardinals will talk about the issues or concerns that they think are most important in the church. So, a cardinal might get up and talk about synodality. Another cardinal might get up and talk about the importance of staying close to the doctrine of the church. Another cardinal might get up and talk about the importance of liturgy. And so they've been listening to actually these lectures, essentially. The other thing that's been happening, though, is that in this past week, this is really where a lot of the conversations take place at lunch, at dinner, in the cafes, if you will. And so alliances and groups will form. And they're talking to each other about candidates. And so, you have some of the ones who are strong influencers. So, for example, Cardinal Supage from Chicago, who's here at Sacred Heart University and gave a Bergoglio lecture, and is a very strong advocate of Pope Francis and of synodality. And but he's a someone who, would have strong influence. He himself is not in any of the front numbers, but
sure.
But he would be someone who would have been talking to the other cardinals, and as would, on a more conservative side, one of the things that we know has occurred is that a lot of the philanthropic conservative organizations like NAPA have descended upon Rome for the Jubilee and have had, dinners, et cetera, and in some instances have invited a cardinal or something.
Oh.
So, there's influence.
Sure.
There may be influence there. But mainly, I think it'd be in those informal lunches and dinners where they would be speaking with each other.
Dr. Michelle Loris is the guest. She is the Center for Catholic Studies Director at Sacred Heart University. Dr. Loris, please continue, but I was going to ask you, so I guess some of the front runners here, we're hearing about a cardinal from Africa, also a gentleman from the Philippines we're hearing. So some of these names have been bubbling up, right? Yeah.
So I think the name that comes forward as number one, although it's hard to know, right now I think I want to just say it's a very open field, despite the fact that there's been black smoke. But one of the names that comes up is Cardinal Parolin. He's that was the Secretary of State under Francis, very much a diplomat. He would be a kind of a compromise candidate, and he has Francis's vision, but not at all Francis's charisma, and probably a more cautious, careful individual, and so he might be seen as someone who would just, keep the ship steady, and he's very much competent with the bureaucracy. What he doesn't have is pastoral experience. And of course, Francis, being a pastor and pastoral experience was a centerpiece of Francis's papacy.
And, Dr. Loris, that's interesting. And I want to end on this if we could. There is the pastoral aspect on this. There is the administering of the church and the sacraments. But the Vatican is a big bureaucracy, is it not? With millions of dollars running through it, and you need and you mentioned, I think, administration there.
Right.
I think people lose sight of that, don't they? Sometimes.
Yeah, I think that they do. It is huge. As you said before, 1.4 billion people globally, right? It's not just, so, and all kinds of countries, cultures, ethnicities, languages, mores, customs, all different ways of, people who live, far out in the Amazon, people who live in Africa, Asia, the United States. And so the person, and yes, probably millions, billions of dollars that, the Vatican has to. So the administrative part is important, but we want someone who is both a moral voice for the world and someone who is a spiritual leader for the Catholic Church. And so, we whether one is charismatic or not everybody could have the kind of personality that Francis had, but he will be nonetheless a pastor. He is the Bishop of Rome. He is the pastor of the Roman Catholic Church, and in that regard, he's a pastor.
Yeah,
so,
on a much larger scale than any of the ones I've ever known. Dr. Michelle Loris, thank you. She directs the Center for Catholic Studies at Sacred Heart University. Dr. Loris, thank you. We'll chat down the road. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, take care.
Appreciate
Very
it.
Good. Thank you.
There you
Bye.
go, Dr. Michelle Loris. Yeah, the next pope is a pastor, although, you know what, that is, from pastoral point of view, that's a heck of a second collection right there.
Columbia Dental invites you to come to their Norwalk office for your entire family's dental health. It is their mission to provide you with comprehensive dental care you and your family deserve. Visit Columbia Dental in Norwalk, located at 91 East Avenue, open 5 days a week, or visit their Manchester location at 483 Middle Turnpike West, open 7 days a week. Columbia Dental, here for you and your family for regular checkups or emergency visits. ColumbiaDental.com.
Hey, it's Steve Basso from Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC again. There's no better time than right now to service or repair that AC system. Even install new or replace your existing system. Did you know high-efficiency ductless systems use up to 50% less electricity? Call us today at 203-335-0224. That's 203-335-0224. On the web at bassophac.com. And remember, everything's better with Basso.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Upper Parkway southbound accident reported near exit 53 as things backing up over the Sikorsky Bridge. On the northbound side, accident reported between exit 49 and exit 50. 95 northbound over an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport and out of New Haven. On 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf going into West Haven. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday, rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
where Southern Connecticut comes for the real story. Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
And if you'd like to hear the remarks again of one of our returning guests, Dr. Michelle Loris from the Center for Catholic Studies at Sacred Heart University, check out the podcasts of this here show of the Lisa Wexler program and also the world-famous Melissa in the Morning program, 5 to 10, right here on WICC. Just go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/voice of CT, where I have a question up there that is garnering, shall we say, some rather unique responses. Question I put up there today was what we led the show with, and I saw a relatively new poll come out a few days ago that basically says if they're among registered voters who voted a few months ago in November of 2024, CNN and their research arm said, hey, if you had to do it all over again, what would you do? And they basically said the same thing. And a lot of Democrats, including our own Chris Murphy, junior U.S. Senator from Connecticut, says, well, you know, the Dems have to try and alter that. And one of the things they can do, Senator Murphy says, is make a broader tent, make the tent bigger, make it higher, make it wider, like the old tent of the Oakdale in Wallingford. Remember that? Nothing like seeing a tent show at the Oakdale in August when it was 137 and you're under canvas. But I digress. So I asked the question, will the Democratic Party take the advice of Chris Murphy and expand their tent in the future on certain policy issues? He said that again this week. He was interviewed by the Jewish Insider and said, well, you know, to beat Trump, and to beat Trump's brand of, you know, pseudo-fascism or whatever he called it, we need to broaden the tent. Well, Senator, with all due respect, it certainly doesn't sound like you're doing it. Is Bernie Sanders broadening the tent? Is AOC broadening the tent? Is referring to the fine men and women of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, like Stasi's and jackbooted thugs, calling what they did in Middletown a few weeks ago a kidnapping? A kidnapping. Is that broadening the tent? I don't think so. 203-333-9422. By the way, thank you so much to the people who responded to a question I put up on our Facebook page yesterday. And yes, it's getting quite the responses. We have pushing 180 responses now on this question. Remember, we did this yesterday. Do you agree with some lawmakers in Hartford who say the Connecticut needs to tighten regulations on homeschooling? Man, oh man. So keep the comments coming. We'll read a few more of those coming up later on. And this was the big story we had yesterday concerning a public hearing earlier this week on Monday where people were talking about, hey, maybe we need to not necessarily clamp down on homeschooling, but maybe keep an eye on homeschool kids because some in the past have been abuse victims. And again, the people who want to do this are trying to tie this into that tragedy in Waterbury, that young man who's now, I guess, 32. And from the time he was 12 to just shortly before he was rescued by firefighters and police because of a fire a few weeks ago, he had been locked allegedly criminally by his stepmom and kept in a home. Now, is there a direct correlation there with homeschooling? No, there isn't. But there is a direct correlation to him getting lost in the system. So, again, while a lot of people are emotional about this, our lawmakers should not mistake that emotion for naivete here and think you can just start, you know, power scrubbing some laws here as far as homeschooling is concerned. I mean, did we ever hear about, yes, there were the one or two tragedies here, but nobody was jumping to change these laws previously. Now they are. So weigh in on that, if you will. It's scrolling down from today's question. You'll find it. Do you agree with some lawmakers in Hartford who say that Connecticut needs to tighten regulations on homeschooling? I'm okay with a mild tightening of regulations, maybe a once-a-year check. Hey, how's it going? How's the homeschooling going? You look good. Good luck. See you later. But if you're going to start bigfooting curriculum or curricula here, if you're going to start mandating that certain testing happen, no. Because you know why? Up until this tragedy in Waterbury, a lot of you folks who want this now, you never said a thing. What's changed? Or are you just protecting DCF? Gee, that wouldn't be the case, would it? Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
Upper Parkway southbound accident reported near exit 53 as things backing up over the Sikorsky Bridge. On the northbound side, accident reported between exit 49 and exit 50. 95 northbound over an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport and out of New Haven. On 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf going into West Haven. And that's Kraus with WICC traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Back to the news and talk, thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut, WICC 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
And of course, being a midweek Wednesday, a lot coming up with our buddy, our pal, Dan Harhurst, Connecticut Media, including Dan has some news regarding a capital gains tax surcharge for you upper income folks here in the state. Hello, Fairfield County. We know where this one is aimed. It'll cover everybody and say, yeah, we know that. Call your tax professional now. So Dan will explain that coming up. And the Yukon Health Center, which does great work, but is an absolute rat hole where money disappears. Well, guess what? Finally, there may be some accountability to how and how much money and how it's spent at the Yukon Health Center in Farmington, which, again, nothing wrong with I've heard glowing reviews from people who've been there, folks, friends of mine who've had their moms and dads there and kids and elderly relatives. They rave about the place. But unfortunately, Yukon Health Center, year in and year out, is a money rat hole.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. Black smoke has signaled cardinals sequestered in the Sistine Chapel have failed in their first vote to select a new pope. Millions are waiting for word.
Trusting in the Holy Spirit to do what God wants the church to do.
CBS News papal contributor Anthony Figueredo.
The last two pontiffs were elected on the second day. That makes tomorrow even more important. There's going to be a lot of prayer, a lot of maneuvering this evening in order to suss out those top candidates, the leaders in this conclave.
Reporter Delia Gallagher.
The thinking is they might be trying to go back towards somebody who is going to unify. We heard that word also from Cardinal Ray today in the Mass this morning.
The Federal Reserve is leaving a key interest rate unchanged. Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
Despite heightened uncertainty, the economy is still in a solid position. The unemployment rate remains low, and the labor market is at or near maximum employment.
China confirmed today that it will sit down with U.S. negotiators this weekend in Switzerland to discuss the trade war. Tariff worries are real for many Americans, as Jim Krasula reports.
Trump administration tariffs and the trade war between the U.S. and China are prompting many people to start their Christmas shopping, especially for toys. This North Carolina woman is on the lookout for her granddaughter.
I cannot risk that there'll be no presents or dolls for her under the tree. So I am going out there and I am purchasing her Christmas gifts now.
Toy maker Mattel is already warning it will have to raise prices on some products to offset higher costs related to President Donald Trump's tariffs. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
Another worry for Americans. Today was the deadline to have your real ID. It's been a long time coming, but there hasn't been much urgency over the last years. Allison Keyes reports.
At Philadelphia International Airport, this traveler is annoyed by the whole real ID thing.
I wish that they made it a bit more mandatory.
She says she renewed her ID last year, and employees asked her if she wanted to make it a real ID.
And they said, oh, you won't really need it.
So she didn't get it.
Now it's kind of frustrating because I had to jump through a lot of hoops.
The TSA warns those without real ID compliant IDs to show up early and expect extra screening. Allison Keyes, CBS News.
3 former Memphis police officers were acquitted of state charges today in the fatal beating of Tyree Nichols during a traffic stop. They have been convicted on federal charges and still face the prospect of years in prison. On Wall Street at the closing bell, investors have been following the Fed's decision. The Dow finished off 284 points. This is CBS News.
A word from Progressive Insurance. Life can be hard, so Progressive can make bundling your home and auto easy. Hope that helps. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-230-2777. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-230-2777, 800-230-2777, or biglou.com.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
A Bridgeport man will spend between 5 and 15 years in prison for causing a deadly crash in New York by driving the wrong way. Jose Espinal admits that he had a few drinks before driving the wrong way on the Hutchinson River Parkway in Rye, just across the border from Connecticut. The crash killed 62-year-old William Salibi of Greenwich, whose car burst into flames after being hit head-on by one driven by Espinal. A Bridgeport man is expected to receive a sentence of a decade in prison for a burglary spree in Norwalk. Derek Ramirez pleaded guilty in the case earlier this year and was scheduled to be sentenced yesterday in Stamford Superior Court. However, the judge delayed sentencing until July 8th. Ramirez is also expected to be sentenced to spend 5 years on probation at that hearing. Woodbridge Animal Control is trying to locate the person who abandoned 2 pit bull terriers in Bethany. The dogs were located April 16th on Brooks Road near Downs Road. The red and blue pit bulls were both infested with ticks, but were otherwise in good health. The dogs reportedly have good temperaments and will be available for adoption soon. Anyone who knows who abandoned the dogs is asked to contact Woodbridge Police. According to U.S. News and World Report, Connecticut is the 15th best state to live in. The magazine also ranks the state number 3 for healthcare, 8th for the economy, and 10th for education. Other New England states in the top 10 include New Hampshire in 2nd place, Vermont ranked 7th, and Massachusetts 9th. And some Connecticut public schools are warning of a new online trend involving students setting their laptops on fire. Multiple districts have confirmed that students have participated in the TikTok challenge, where they showed out their laptops by inserting a sharp metal object into the USB port. Fires were reported at schools in Derby, Cromwell, and Newington, and reportedly involved puncturing of the lithium battery. Newington Fire Marshal DJ Zordon spoke with Fox 61 and explained the danger that this new trend presents.
The danger is not just to themselves. So obviously, by tampering with the equipment, in our case, it caused more smoke than fire. We don't want anybody inhaling that stuff. There is a potential that the batteries might explode. It doesn't just endanger the person that's doing this, it does endanger anybody that's in the immediate area as well.
Parents and guardians are being asked to speak to their children and discourage them from this kind of dangerous activity. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, plan on an hour. Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Upper Merritt northbound accident remains between exit 49 and exit 50. Out of New Haven, 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven, and 84 eastbound, busy through Danbury and Newtown. Traffic report is powered by Brown Roofing. Brown Roofing is Fairfield County's premier roofing replacement repair and gutter contractor. Contact Brown Roofing today at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down. The Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday, rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Pizzelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, 203-333-9422, 333 WICC. Got some big old news about possible capital gains taxes going up here in the great state of Connecticut, the Sovereign People's Republic of Connecticut, the real DPRC. So we'll talk about that coming up in about an hour and change, with our buddy, our pal, Dan Hearst, Connecticut Media. Our Facebook question of the day today, actually, we have a couple of really unique questions, I think, and really active questions up there. Today's question, people are already having fun with, and I put it up there because I saw a survey that was released a few days ago that's only now getting a little play. Basically, registered voters who voted in the election in November pretty much saying, yeah, I know Trump's done this and that, but I'm not changing my vote yet. Not doing it yet. To which I asked here, will the Democratic Party take the advice of Chris Murphy and expand their tent in the near future on certain policy issues? See, I think they're tone deaf. What do you think? 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. I think they're tone deaf. Sounds tone deaf to me. Listen, here's how tone deaf they sound. They sound William Tong tone deaf.
All of us here lived through 9/11, the Great Recession, the financial crisis of 08-09, but the scale of the devastation and the destruction in just 100 days is unprecedented for all of us. He is destroying people's lives, not just in America, but here in Connecticut. It's been devastating for our state, for people, for families, for real people, for neighbors, for friends, for our communities, for our towns and our cities.
For the love of God, stop. Destroying lives. What is he talking about? But again, he is the sitting Attorney General of Connecticut. He has the right to voice his opinion. So again, one question after you hear that, you ask yourselves, will the Democratic Party actually take the advice of one Chris Murphy and maybe expand their tent in the future on certain policy issues and understand there are people who look at us and say, this is nuts.
All of us here lived through 9/11, the Great Recession, the financial crisis of 08-09, but the scale of the devastation and the destruction in just 100 days is unprecedented.
It's not unprecedented. Oh, my God. Stop. Now, we have another question up there. This one, hopefully, a little more lucid. put it up there yesterday, and it's got a boatload of responses. In fact, the responses kept coming last night. My phone kept going ding, ding, ding. Do you agree with some lawmakers in Hartford who say that Connecticut needs to tighten regulations on homeschooling? Our very own, the world-famous Chris Williams has been watching some of the latest and greatest, the clean responses we can read on the air. Chris, what do you have? Give us two or three.
It's tough to choose from 178 plus, Paul.
Yes.
But some of the more eloquent ones say no. Statistically speaking, homeschoolers are doing very well in comparison to other methods. Maybe more regulations and oversight in DCF that failed that child in Waterbury and countless others, though. That was from Jillian.
Mm-hmm.
Cora says no, parents need freedom to educate, not fall into the system. We need innovators and creators, curious minds who are not deterred to explore and be wrong. We need those who will find the outcome interesting, even if they fail to achieve a desired outcome. We need learners, not cogs.
Okay.
Vanessa says absolutely not. And my favorite is from Mark, who says, stay in your lane, corrupticate. Hands off. Need to vote out all Dems. They are radicals.
All right. So agree with those statements or not, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Voice of CT, and you can weigh in on the question of the day. Sometimes if I'm feeling benevolent, I'll even put in a second question.
You wake up with WICC to start your day, and you keep us on in your car and while you're at work. But there's another place you'll find us, right in your email. Sign up for the WICC newsletter and be the first to know about all the local Fairfield County happenings. Best of all, it's free. The Voice of Connecticut is right in your inbox. Get signed up now at voiceofct.com.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
What's the best source for keeping your customers' vehicles cool? It's Napa. They're the pros that know AC systems inside and out. That's why they're trusted by shop and business owners across the country when it comes to the parts they need to get the job done. From AC kits to condensers, refrigerants to repair components, Napa and their nationwide network of parts and exceptional service is right there with what you need when you need it. Stock up on the AC parts and keep your business moving today at Napa.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the Voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need someone by your side to help you through the injury and legal process. It's comforting to know that Ganem Injury Lawyers are there when it matters most. With decades of experience helping injured accident victims, Ganem Injury Lawyers will take on the insurance companies to get you the settlement you deserve. Trust attorney George Ganem to fight for you. GanemInjuryLawyers.com or call 203-713-8383 for a free consultation. By your side when it matters.
Join the Brown Roofing Melissa in the Morning Diner Tour this Thursday at Andros Diner in Fairfield, presented by Maritime Chevrolet, AARP Connecticut, and Connecticut Education Association.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-375-8936. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-375-8936, 800-375-8936, 800-375-8936.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, plan on an hour. Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Upper Merritt northbound accident remains between exit 49 and exit 50. Out of New Haven, 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven, and 84 eastbound, busy through Danbury and Newtown. Traffic report is powered by Brown Roofing. Brown Roofing is Fairfield County's premier roofing replacement repair and gutter contractor. Contact Brown Roofing today at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Tell Paul what he needs to know. Text 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pizzelli. WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
All right, back to open phones momentarily. Our pal Dan Har with some big news for you investors coming up about an hour from now or so in the 5 o'clock hour. Farmers, a lot of us know farmers. There are a lot of farms, surprisingly, a lot of farms here in Connecticut. And we hear about farmers getting caught up in the trade wars right now and the tariffs. It's all confusing to me. Hopefully this gentleman can explain it and also explain a unique theory here that, again, my limited mentality can't wrap my arms around. Fair trade farmers. Now, the name of the book here is Every Purchase Matters, How Fair Trade Farmers, Companies, and Consumers Are Changing the World. What is a fair trade farm? Do we have any of them here in Connecticut? The author is the founder of Fair Trade USA, pioneering figure in the conscious capitalism movement, named Ethical Corporation's 2019 Business Leader of the Year and the Social Capitalist of the Year by Fast Company magazine. Paul Rice joins us. Hey, Paul, it's Paul here in Connecticut. How are you, sir?
Hi, Paul. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, my friend. So explain to my listeners here, what is the theory of fair trade farmers? Because my knowledge of all this, you could fit on the head of a pin. So explain this to me.
Well, of course. You know, I reckon a lot of our listeners have seen the Fair Trade Certified label at the grocery store on their coffee or their bananas, their chocolate. You might have seen it at Patagonia on clothing or J. Crew.
Yeah.
The Fair Trade Certified label has been around for about 26 years here in the U.S. And what it means is that those farms or factories, because we also certify factories, they have met a rigorous standard for social, labor, and environmental practices, right? So they're not screwing their workers. They're paying a decent wage. They're providing all the benefits and worker safety measures. They're also not polluting the environment. When farms and factories meet that standard, they undergo an annual audit, and if they pass the audit, then they get Fair Trade Certified for a year, and that allows them to put the Fair Trade Certified label on their products. And the retailers that we work with, and we're working now with over 2,000 companies from Whole Foods and Costco to Walmart and Kroger and Safeway and all the major retailers, Target. They agree to pay a small premium back to that farmer, and that's what allows the farmers to invest in their workforce, to invest in their farms, to make improvements in healthcare and education and housing and things like that. So long story short, Fair Trade Certified is a way for you and I as consumers to support farmers and their families, not just here in the U.S., but all around the world.
What does it say, Paul Rice, that you have to put your imprimatur and give the Fair Trade certification on something that to me sounds like common sense? But yet you say your organization says, well, we do this and that. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, geez, if I ran a farm, I would do that too. But I guess there are some companies, some corporations, other farms that don't really, operate the way you think they should? Talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Paul, business as usual in global supply chains is often highly exploitative. in the past, exploitative practices and extractive practices where, natural resources were used and not stewarded in a sustainable way. That was very much the norm.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing an evolution, and I write about this in my book, Every Purchase Matters. We are definitely seeing an evolution of the mentality of business leaders here in the U.S. and all around the world. I think business leaders are overcoming this trade-off mentality where they thought, well, either I can be sustainable or I can maximize profits, but I can't do both. And I think that mentality now is giving way to a realization on the part of business leaders all around the world that you can do good and be successful as a business as well, right? The business can be a force for good in the world.
So is the hope here, if I had, say, Pacelli Farm and I wanted to get the fair trade certification here, is Paul Rice, is my hope as a businessman saying, hey, if I get this certification, it's almost like if I see free-range chicken somewhere, like, yeah, I might lean to that because I think it's a better product and the animals are treated a certain way. Is that how you sell this whole thing?
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's a great analogy, Paul. We are very much like, cage-free or free-range chickens or organics or non-GMO. In the climate change arena, there's something called Forest Stewardship Council certification. That means that, forests weren't clear-cut. All of these certifications are essentially validating to consumers that companies are actually walking the talk, that they're actually performing at a more sustainable level, and that you don't have to take the company's word for it because there's an independent third-party audit of that claim. We've seen our business grow dramatically. Fair trade produce last year, for example, grew by 25%. By comparison, the overall produce market grew by 2%.
Wow.
So what we're seeing is companies increasingly embracing what you might call ethical sourcing or responsible sourcing. And fair trade is a great example of that. Companies are embracing it, and consumers are asking for it, especially younger consumers. There's a very high level of expectation among Gen Z and millennial consumers that companies are not going to, destroy the planet, that they're going to deliver products in a responsible way. So we see that as kind of the rising tide that's shifting the business community in the sustainability direction.
And, finally, Paul, if there are people listening to me now who are farmers, and yeah, Connecticut we have our share of farmland here. They're not huge farms, but they're big enough. And they say, well, hey, this sounds interesting. How do I get that fair trade farmers designation here? I'd like to participate. How does that work with maybe a farmer who's listening to us right now?
Well, check out fairtradecertified.org. The certification organization, which I founded in 1998, and which has been around for 26 years, it's a nonprofit, and we are committed to the success of farmers and workers around the world and to the protection of the environment. So anyone who's interested, check out fairtradecertified.org, and, we can get you set up. Now, you may not realize this, Paul, but most of the 1 million farmers that we're currently working with around the world are not in the U.S. The U.S. is relatively new to our program. We started in Africa and Asia and Latin America, working with really poor farmers who needed that fair trade certification in order to tap into the market and be able to form partnerships with companies like Costco and Whole Foods and Walmart and so on. So it's only relatively recently, in the last 8 years, that we've started certifying farms in the U.S. You probably heard of Driscoll's Berries. We're working with Driscoll's. We're working with Wholesome, a great tomato brand, and Nature Sweet and others. And we're really excited about working with U.S. farmers as well as farmers around the world who need that direct, transparent market relationship with retailers in order to get a fair price for all their hard work.
Yeah, believe me, it's rough work. Again, the website, fairtradecertified.org. Paul Rice. Hey, Paul, finally, how difficult and I don't need you to name names, but you talked about working with some of the major retailers here. I would imagine, and you tell me if I'm wrong here, if some of them were easier than others, and then the other ones you had to get through the knucklehead level to actually get things going here. What was that like? How's that been?
Companies have come to us out of enlightened self-interest. We haven't had to work hard to get the different companies to sign up. It typically what happens is a more visionary and sustainability focused company will sign up first in any given industry, whether it's coffee or tea or produce or apparel. And then others see their success and quickly get on board. And so, in apparel, we started with Patagonia.
Yeah.
And now we're working with Gap, and we're working with J. Crew, and we're working with Target. We certify blue jeans for Target. And so you see how this competitive dynamic in the sustainability field pulls companies along. And that's why we're seeing the rapid mainstreaming of fair trade and things like it. I mean, we're working with Walmart now on fair trade tomatoes.
Nice.
They're the largest seller of fair trade tomatoes in the world. And, I think many of our listeners might think, well, wait, sustainability, Walmart? Like, I didn't know people like that shopped at Walmart. Well, turns out they do.
I know what you mean,
Turns
Paul.
out they do.
Yeah. Paul Rice, good luck. The name of the book, Every Purchase Matters, How Fair Trade Farmers, Companies, and Consumers are Changing the World. Check it out, fairtradecertified.org. Paul, take care, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Paul. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Appreciate it. There you go. freetradecertified.org. How about that? Traffic and weather together right here, right now. A lot more coming up on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, plan on an hour. Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Upper Merritt northbound accident remains between exit 49 and exit 50. Out of New Haven, 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven, and 84 eastbound, busy through Danbury and Newtown. Traffic report is powered by Brown Roofing. Brown Roofing is Fairfield County's premier roofing replacement repair and gutter contractor. Contact Brown Roofing today at brownroofing600.com. Brown won't let you down. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday, rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Your morning starts with a fresh cup of coffee and total peace of mind. Because with Property Protection Consulting, your home or office is secured and backed by a local company. From single camera setups to full-scale security, we customize your protection, because we know how valuable your safety is. Whether you're protecting your livelihood or the ones that matter to you most. For a complimentary evaluation on your home or office, visit ppcalarms.com, because real security starts with real protection.
Are you sick and tired of paying high prices for Continental tires? Then get to Town Fair Tire for the lowest price you'll find anywhere. Yes, the guaranteed lowest price on every Continental tire. Plus, at Town Fair, you get free services for life. Think about it. Why look anywhere else for Continental tires when Town Fair gives you the guaranteed lowest price plus free services for life? Nobody beats a Town Fair tire deal. Nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town Fair Tire.
Do you have questions about real estate? Learn the secrets of real estate investing and get your questions answered during the Real Estate Show with Pat Civitella. Listen Sunday mornings from 9 to 10 for expert information about real estate investing, downsizing, and improvements before selling. Pat will help turn your real estate dreams into reality. Tune in and call The Real Estate Show with Pat Civitella. Sunday mornings from 9 to 10, right here on WICC 600 and 95.9.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News special report. Black smoke has just emerged from the Sistine Chapel in Rome, signifying the 133 cardinals sequestered there have failed to elect a new pope in their first vote. Reporter Sabina Castelfranco.
What is needed is a 2/3 majority. Not easy with so many cardinals. You need 89 votes.
CBS's Chris Livesay.
Some of them don't necessarily have a common language, don't necessarily speak Italian, which is the lingua franca here, or English. So it's going to take them some time to figure out exactly where each other stand.
At stake, who will lead the world's 1.4 billion Catholics? CBS's Nora O'Donnell in Rome.
The church is at a crossroads, so this is a critical choice, a monumentally important sign of how the Catholic Church will move forward.
The cardinals have been sworn to secrecy during the process. They'll now retire for the night and start again in the morning. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Starting today, Real ID will now be required to fly domestically. However, a grace period is still in effect. After more than 20 years of planning, a Real ID recognized by the gold star in the corner of your license will be required for any domestic flight and can be acquired at the DMV. You will be required to show a birth certificate or passport, as well as your social security card and 2 pieces of mail to obtain one. However, TSA spokesperson Dan Velez told WFSB Channel 3 that even travelers without a Real ID won't be turned away.
If you don't have a Real ID or you don't have any Real ID compliant identification, you don't plan on getting any, you'll be going through additional security screening from here on out.
A passport will still allow you to fly without any additional screening. A new report was released yesterday that identified several weaknesses in Connecticut's response to human trafficking. The Regionalized Human Trafficking Recovery Task Force used data from 49 victim case studies to create a journey mapping report. Crystal Rich from the Connecticut Children's Alliance explained the purpose of the report at a news conference attended by WTNH-TV News 8.
Journey mapping is a visual tool used to understand and document the steps, experiences, and interactions a person or group goes through within a system.
The report outlined 7 challenges Connecticut faces in dealing with human trafficking, including inconsistency in data collection, policy and legislative gaps, and no formal adult victim response. The full report can be found on the state government website. Jury selection has begun in the trial of Raul Valley, the teen accused of the 2022 killing of Fairfield Prep student James McGrath in Shelton. Valley is accused of stabbing McGrath to death and of wounding 3 others during a fight at a party. Valley is 19 years old and was 16 at the time of the incident in May of 2022. He's charged with murder and 3 counts of first-degree assault. A panel of 12 jurors and 4 alternates will be selected before the trial begins in the middle of June. 3 jurors were seated yesterday. A man has been arrested and accused of making threats on a city bus in Bridgeport. The incident happened Monday morning in the area of Post and North Benson Roads. Police responded and investigated, arresting the man who was accused of making the threats. Police say the unidentified man was found to be in possession of a knife. Today is day 3 of the strike by around 3,000 machinists at Pratt and Whitney facilities. The strike began early Monday morning after the sides were unable to reach an agreement on a new contract. No new negotiations have been scheduled between the sides. The unionized machinists are seeking better pay and benefits, along with job security protections. Mark Natty from the Site Council of Machinists spoke with CT Insider about the concerns of protesters.
The assembly, they can move to overseas to MTU on the NEO, especially with the tariffs we have today. So that's very important to us. And they built a factory in North Carolina that does the same work as the TMC Center in East Hartford, making the blades. We need job security in this contract.
There are 3 Cash 5 jackpot winners in Connecticut from yesterday's drawing. Each of the winners won nearly $55,000. The winning tickets were purchased at a Stop and Shop in Bridgeport, One Stop Smoke and Convenience in East Hartford, and BJ's Wholesale Club in Waterbury. And the University of New Haven is set to become an NCAA Division I school for athletics. UNH has accepted an invitation to join the Northeast Conference in July, a process that involves the school being phased into Division I over several years. UNH Athletic Director Devin Cosby told WFSB Channel 3 that teamwork made the process go smoothly.
I'm going to give a compliment to my boss, Jens Fredrickson. The one thing I've learned, when a president and an athletic director are aligned and they work in the same way, things happen really, really fast, and all the red tape goes by. Once we sat down, really about a 9 to 10-day process.
The transition begins this fall, and the Chargers will achieve full Division I status in the 2028-2029 school year. UNH offers 20 varsity sports programs that include football, baseball, men's and women's basketball, and field hockey. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound, plan on an hour and 20 from Greenwich to Bridgeport with an accident reported in the mix between exits 9 and 10 on the Parkway northbound. Heavy congestion starts pretty much as you come off of exit 27, follows you all the way up through Trumbull, so it really isn't much help. Out of New Haven, 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound is only slightly better, and 84 eastbound, heavy congestion through Danbury into the Super 7. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorak on WICC.
As your day winds down, he's only just getting warmed up. You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
You and I together. Hey, how are you? Great to have you with us at 203-333-9422, 333 WICC. Keep it right here. There's a little bit of breaking news out of the Capitol. We'll discuss this in further detail and what this means money and policy-wise with our buddy, our pal, Dan Haar, Hearst Connecticut Media. Coming up in about 30 minutes right after the news. Top of the hour at 5, Dan tells me apparently the Democratic House Speaker in Hartford, Matt Ritter, said today he has the votes for a capital gains surcharge. Now, I don't know the numbers yet. And again, we told you about this, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And I don't know how they're going to couch this. But I guess they were talking about and again, these are the earlier numbers. Maybe the numbers came down. Talking about maybe, depending upon income levels, what the income levels may be, $1 million plus for an individual, $2 million plus for a couple, 1.75% capital gain surcharge, ostensibly to fill funding gaps. And look, we did this is the same playbook for legislative Democrats in Hartford. I have a question, and this is kind of rhetorical, but you know why I'm asking you. When does the majority in Hartford ever cut taxes? Well, that's hard to do, Paul. Yeah, it is. Why don't we get more tax cuts? And I'm not talking about this phony, what's the latest now, $150 child tax credit. Oh, stop it. I mean, listen, $150. You know, will that help some people? I'm sure. Well, but come on, $150. Ooh, per child. So if I have 2 kids in the state of Connecticut, wow, that's a whole $300. Wow. Let's go to Vegas with that, Martha. Wow, with 3 kids, it's $450. Yay! How about that? That's one dinner for 7 or 8 people or at a nice restaurant. But I guess, according to the info Dan has, we'll check in with him a little bit later on, about 30 minutes from now. But wow, how about that? Another tax cut from the majority, a tax increase, I should say. Perish the thought. tax cut from the majority in Hartford? Not going to happen there. Increased taxes. You know what? And do you agree with me or not? I think this is a bad idea. And no, I'm not a filthy rich person. But you know what? Honestly, and maybe you disagree with me on this. Fine, come on in. The water's fine. 333-9422, 333-WICC, talk or text. Increasing taxes. I told you this. Tax increases are the potato chips of politics. In other words, you're hungry. What's the best junk food out there? I mean, aside of something that has to be cooked. What's the best junk food out there? Potato chips. You're hungry. The salt, the grease. It's a wonderful thing. But in the end, nutritionally, more than a couple of handsful or handfuls, I'm not sure where the S goes there. But, you overdo it, it's bad for your health. So let me ask this. If there's going to be a capital gains tax increase, how much is it? And what if that doesn't work? And you don't think some people may even consider to move out of the state of Connecticut here? Do you blame rich people if they move? I know what you're going to say. Well, it's only the rich, and it's only for people at $1 million or $2 million or whatever, if what I'm hearing is accurate here. But isn't that sloppy politics? Well, we don't have the money. Well, we never seem to have the money in Connecticut. And I know that, don't blame it on the guardrails. Because the guardrails are what we should have been doing for the past 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And shame on and a pox on the houses of the Republican and Democratic administrations that kicked it down the road. I'm telling you, one thing I like about Ned Lamont is his fiscal policy. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better than Dan Malloy, and it'll be a hell of a lot better than any Democrat that follows Ned Lamont. But this go after and tax the rich, you know what? Every so often it comes to a point with a rich in any state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, high tax states, with the rich all smile and they say, "Screw you, I'm out." That's it. Now, some people in Hartford understand that it's going to be interesting to see. Number one, so Dan will have the numbers for us momentarily, but it's going to be interesting to see what numbers these are, the income levels, the capital gains tax surcharge. Now, again, that's different from actually raising the rates. Now, I'm wondering, too, are these realized capital gains versus unrealized capital gains? But I'm sorry, all these tax increases are dumb ideas. And you know why? They don't fix the institutional problem of the level of social service spending and stuff that we have in the state. So, it's like an individual. Hey, I'm going to go get another credit card. Yeah, get the other credit card. But that doesn't solve the problem that you spend too much.
When you want the top Connecticut headlines when you wake up, you know to come to one place. That's Melissa in the Morning. Live interviews with local leaders and breaking news. You've got it on Melissa in the Morning. Plus, traffic and weather every 10 minutes. Melissa in the Morning is everything you need on your ride into work. Melissa Sheketoff, every weekday from 5 to 10 on Melissa in the Morning on the Voice of Connecticut, WICC 600 and 95.9.
How low can you go? No, it's not a limbo contest. We're asking about how low can the radon level in your home go? With Apex Radon Solutions as your trusted local radon mitigation expert, the answer is lower than you ever thought possible. Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that could be lurking in your home and cause serious risk to your family's health. The higher the number, the higher the risk. Protect your family with a free on-site radon test from Apex Radon Solutions. Go to apexradonsolutions.com today to schedule a free radon test.
Imagine talking to thousands of local consumers about your business. You will with your ads on the Voice of Connecticut.
It all comes up to your sales rep. Here, Maria, my sales rep, try to understand my business, customize my need, and that make it different than any other experience that I have.
Real stories, real results. It's why advertising on the Voice of Connecticut works. Learn more. Email sales@voiceofct.com.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ziprecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
It's time for the Market Scoreboard Report with Ron and Sana. Now on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Stocks closed higher despite a myriad of headlines that may have affected the market adversely. We got past them, though, with the Federal Reserve holding interest rates steady and saying that economic uncertainty has risen and the risk of stagflation is also moving higher amid the tariffs and trade war ongoing between the United States and the rest of the world. Still, with that, the Dow finished 284 points higher on the day. Disney was up big on better than expected quarterly results, the Dow ending at 41,113. Late in the day, chip stocks moved higher as the U.S. is considering rescinding some curbs on chip exports to the rest of the world. S&P up 24 to 5631, NASDAQ up 48 to 17,738. Bond yields with the Federal Reserve leaving rates unchanged still moved lower to 4.27%. Oil on the day down $1.15 to $57.94 a barrel. Gold finished down $48 to $33.74 the ounce in what was a rather confusing session today, volatile to say the least, and a lot of conflicting headlines hitting the street. Google getting pounded on worries that AI will eat into its search business.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's ALL to 321-321.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, plan on an hour and 20 from Greenwich to Bridgeport with an accident reported in the mix between exits 9 and 10 on the Parkway northbound. Heavy congestion starts pretty much as you come off of exit 27, follows you all the way up through Trumbull, so it really isn't much help. Out of New Haven, 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound is only slightly better, and 84 eastbound, heavy congestion through Danbury into the Super 7. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday, rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
On your laptop, on your smart speaker, and even on your radio. No matter where or how you listen, you've got Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Boy, this will change things. Brian and Fairfield, hang on. We'll go to you right in a second. We got breaking news here, folks. You ready for this? On CNN, some cast members of Les Miserables are going to boycott their performance tonight because how dare Donald Trump go to a theater presentation at the Kennedy Center? It's comical now, it is. Now, they can protest all they want, I get it. But this is now bordering on, I don't know what it is. This doesn't fix Now, I would assume most people in theater might be on the liberal side. That doesn't fix your party. It doesn't fix the inherent difficulties from one side of America that got Donald Trump elected. But, let's make a spectacle, Maud, and we're going to boycott a performance because the president's coming. Oh, that'll fix everything. And yes, if you're asking, so, Paul, you wouldn't boycott a Democrat? No, I won't. No, I wouldn't. My job is to perform if I'm at that scenario, just the way, singers sing, performers perform, and that's it. When we start doing that because of somebody's politics, that, by the way, was not some fringe candidate that was elected by almost 50% of the people, people look at you, they laugh. They're laughing at you. But again, I get it. There's probably pressure in that business. I understand. So, how is the world going to rotate on its axis? Because some of the cast of Les Mis will not perform tonight for Mr. Trump. Oh, it's just horrible. I'm sorry. It just fix the other part of America. Nobody cares that you won't perform for somebody. 30 seconds after this is done, nobody cares. Brian in Fairfield's with us. Hey, Brian, how are you? Hello, Brian.
It's just
hello, Brian. Well, I'm just listening to myself there, so just folks, be ready on the phone. Okay, turn your radio down. That might be Brian on the phone again. Chris, if you could put him on hold, let's try this again. Take two. Sometimes the best scenes in radio and on TV take multiple takes. Let's try this again. Brian in Fairfield's with us. Hey, Brian, good afternoon. How are you?
That might be Brian on the phone. Hi, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to chime in about the the Connecticut State Legislature on the tax for. What was it for?
Now, apparently, this is going to be, from what I think this is, Brian, a surcharge on capital gains.
Capital gains, right?
For some people, not everybody.
Right. Well, these people have no clue about economics or how it works. Okay, and these are people who are going to make money on whatever they're selling, whether it's $1 million property, big shopping malls. Millions, they're going to spend it in the state somewhere else, which I don't think they understand how this works, and I hate to bring this up, but it's these politicians, and I hate to bring George Carlin up again, but what he's saying is these guys don't fall out of the sky, okay? They go to the same schools, the same churches, the same families, and it's just garbage in and garbage out, and that's basically what you got.
Yeah, Brian, and thank you for the call, my friend. Appreciate the call there. Glad we could finally get the conversation going. No, yeah, look, I understand you need tax revenue to run things. I get it. I'm not saying that. I'm never a no tax, no how, nowhere. And I know people like that. That's not practical. You must have some sort of a flow of tax revenues to function as a country, as a state, as a city, as a municipality, whatever. Now, having said that, there are different questions that you have to ask. Why are we raising taxes? Who are we raising them on? And is the problem not so much our tax revenue versus our spending? And that is one thing you never hear. And don't tell me I'm wrong here, because you never do. You never hear the majority in Hartford. Never hear them say, you know what, we have to watch our spending. We're spending too much. Or do we really need to spend all this money? And I understand the state has fixed costs. I get it. But this, I don't know, is it a genetic predisposition that you're in one party or the other to raise taxes here? And again, I understand you need revenue. And a lot of people, even upper income people, are okay with paying a little more. Some are, some aren't. But out of the courtesy to the people that you're asking to pay more, how about saying, yeah, and you know what? We're looking at spending too. Now, there may be some cover here. I don't know how they're going to couch this, but there may be some cover of them saying, well, you know what? We have these guardrails. So in order to adhere to these spending guardrails that came into existence in 2016, bipartisan deal, mainly in the state Senate, between Republicans and Democrats there in Hartford, believe it or not, we have to now raise taxes or a surcharge. Remember, a surcharge, a tax surcharge, is an above and beyond amount, above and beyond the regular tax limit. So we'll talk to Dan about that. And again, look, I understand you need tax revenue. I'm not saying you don't. But eventually people leave. And Connecticut has seen an outflow of people and an outflow of now there's people moving here too. I get that. But you never, now some people can't wait to get out because of the weather. Or as soon as they retire, they figure I'm gone, or I'll snowbird, I'll do 6 months plus, what does it have to be, I think? Primary residence, say in Florida or something like that, is 6 months plus 3 days or something like that. It's got to be a comfortable majority of the time. And they do it. Doesn't mean they don't come back to Connecticut, but they shield that cashola. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, plan on an hour and 20 from Greenwich to Bridgeport with an accident reported in the mix between exits 9 and 10 on the Parkway northbound. Heavy congestion starts pretty much as you come off of exit 27, follows you all the way up through Trumbull, so it really isn't much help. Out of New Haven, 95 south, jamming through Long Wharf into West Haven. Wilbur Cross southbound is only slightly better, and 84 eastbound, heavy congestion through Danbury into the Super 7. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Fiorek on WICC.
Rocket.com is the new home for all things home ownership. Whether you're buying your first home, finding your next one, or unlocking home equity to fund one of your dreams, there's only one destination that has everything you need to get started, all under one roof. Get started today at Rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Touchdowns, goals, spikes. What was this week's play of the week in local high school sports? Check out the high school sports play of the week at theRudenReport.com. See and subscribe. Powered by the new Genesis of Richfield, located in Norwalk.
The Voice of Connecticut and the Westport Weston Chamber of Commerce welcome dog owners and their pets to the 9th Annual Westport Dog Festival, Sunday, May 18th at Winslow Park. Bring your best friend because this is fun for the whole family, including people. Woof woof. Contests, demonstrations, obstacle course, food trucks, vendors, and more. The Westport Dog Festival, presented by Choice Pet, May 18th from 10 to 4 at Winslow Park in Westport. Park in designated areas. Thanks Garavell Auto Group, Earth Animal, and Winslow Park Animal Hospital.
Back to the news and talk, thanks to Smart MLS. Smart Sellers Ask. Is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC's 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli.
Now, the interesting thing in all this, with the possibility we're hearing of a capital gains tax surcharge here, Ned Lamont doesn't like that. And he generally does not like taxes aimed at the rich because, well, he's rich. Nothing wrong with that. He and his wife do very well. And I think that, honestly, it's not because of him. Listen, he's very rich. I don't besmirch him of that for 1 nanosecond. Good on you, Governor. Take all the money you can legally and enjoy it. But he knows people, obviously, being from Greenwich. You know what circles he walks around in. God bless him. He probably knows people that says, Ned, if, or that say, I should say, Ned, if you sign this, I'm OUT out.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. Millions around the world are waiting for word of a new pope.
I'm not Catholic, but I come from a Catholic family, and so just having that history behind it and being able to witness this, really beautiful and very emotional.
There was black smoke today signaling the first vote was unsuccessful. CBS's Seth Doan.
We hear that the Cardinals want to have a relatively quick conclave. They don't want things going into the weekend and having people saying, wow, look at the divided church. They want to show unity. They want to choose a successor and move forward.
The longest conclave in history lasted nearly 3 years. The Cardinals have retired for the night and will try again tomorrow. The Fed today left a key interest rate unchanged. Jill Schlesinger on what that means for Americans.
That's good news for savers, many of whom can earn more than 4% on high-yield savings accounts or money market accounts or short-term certificates of deposit. But the news, not so great for borrowers. They are contending with higher rates on everything from an auto loan to a business loan to financing a credit card balance.
Today was the deadline to have a real ID if you're traveling. Some flyers weren't even sure if they did or not.
I got mine, I think, when my driver's license expired. But I just checked with the gate agent, and I have a little gold star on there, so I'm good to go.
3 former Memphis police officers were acquitted today in the killing of a black motorist. Allison Keyes has that.
It took a jury about 8.5 hours over 2 days to clear the former officers of state charges, including second-degree murder in the case of Tyree Nichols. Graphic police video showed officers talking and laughing as Nichols struggled. He was tased, hit with a police baton, punched and kicked. Prosecutors say the officers used excessive deadly force, while defense attorneys say the officer who acted with the most violence didn't stand trial.
The 3 were convicted on federal charges. The president says he wants the violence between India and Pakistan to stop. Here's Linda Kenyon.
Oh, it's so terrible.
Speaking in the Oval Office, the president said this exchange of fire cannot continue.
I know both very well, and I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop.
And if this worst violence in decades between these 2 nuclear-armed nations does not stop,
and if I can do anything to help, I will be there.
Just ahead of President Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia, the kingdom has condemned Israel's plan to expand its Gaza offensive. Some Israeli relatives of hostages still held in Gaza were angered and surprised by President Trump's comments yesterday that 3 hostages Israel said were alive have died. On Wall Street, the Dow finished the day 284 points higher. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
WICC 695.9. Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
A Bridgeport man is expected to receive a sentence of a decade in prison for a burglary spree in Norwalk. Derek Ramirez pleaded guilty in the case earlier this year and was scheduled to be sentenced yesterday in Stamford Superior Court. However, the judge delayed sentencing until July 8th. Ramirez is also expected to be sentenced to spend 5 years on probation at that hearing. A Bridgeport man will spend between 5 and 15 years in prison for causing a deadly crash in New York by driving the wrong way. Jose Espinal admits that he had a few drinks before driving the wrong way on the Hutchinson River Parkway in Rye, just across the border from Connecticut. The crash killed 62-year-old William Salibi of Greenwich, whose car burst into flames after being hit head-on by one driven by Espinal. A man has been arrested and accused of making threats on a city bus in Bridgeport. The incident happened Monday morning in the area of Post and North Benson Roads. Police responded and investigated, arresting the man who was accused of making the threats. Police say the unidentified man was found to be in possession of a knife. And there are 3 Cash 5 jackpot winners in Connecticut from yesterday's drawing. Each of the winners won nearly $55,600. The winning tickets were purchased at a Stop and Shop in Bridgeport, One Stop Smoke and Convenience in East Hartford, and BJ's Wholesale Club in Waterbury. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now traffic.
95 northbound, hour and 20, Greenwich to Bridgeport Parkway really isn't much help. Slow ride starts before Round Hill Road. Out of New Haven, 91 southbound, you're on the brakes from exit 6 down through the merge and through Long Wharf. Wilbur Cross southbound is a little bit easier. 84 eastbound, jamming through Danbury into the Super 7. And in Hamden, accident reported on Whitney Avenue right at the Route 40 connector. Traffic report is powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliason and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Andrew Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday, rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Where we are still a couple of days on now, still getting a boatload of responses on one of our Facebook questions of the day. Not today. I actually put it up earlier this week, but you can still comment on it. And boy, did the homeschooling thing hit a nerve here. I knew Connecticut had a lot of homeschooled students. I didn't know how much of a nerve this would hit. And I asked what I think is a pretty simple question, because earlier this week, the Office of the Child Advocate says, listen, we need to tighten up homeschooling here. And they're reaching a little bit here to connect this to the whole Waterbury thing. And, of course, the now ongoing case of this stepmom who allegedly imprisoned a guy from the time he was 12 to 32 years old. His stepson, I guess some people are saying under the guise when he was pulled out of school of homeschooling here, which I think is pretty much unfair when you consider that previous to us hearing about this awful Waterbury thing, we really didn't get any deep dive into what went on at DCF with some other tragic cases. So all I did was put this very simple question here on our Facebook page. Do you agree with some lawmakers in Hartford? Some, not all. Pretty much all. The Republican side says no, this is not needed. The Democratic side saying yes. Do you agree with some lawmakers in Hartford who say Connecticut needs to tighten regulations on homeschooling? Got an email. Email's always up and running. Paul at voiceofct.com, along with our talk or text line, 333-9422. Got this email on this. Anything the state gets involved in, it ruins. All right. That is the feeling of one listener, one emailer. Now, the proposed changes here or rule improvements would be the following. There are 3 ideas here. Now, whether these come completely out of the Waterbury situation, I don't know. 1 would require a homeschooling parent and the child to appear once a year to provide what's being called enrollment documentation. Proposal number 2 would be that the child annually be evaluated for academic progress by an independent entity. And proposal number 3 would require an assessment from districts to figure out if there have been any reports of suspected abuse or neglect. Look, I can read all those and say those make perfect sense, and then I can also read them and say, well, they make sense, but what does this, that, or the other mean? For example, what is academic progress? Who would be an independent entity? See what I'm saying here? Again, and look, I kudos to the legislators who said this week, well, we don't want to get into the minutia of homeschooling here. We just want to protect kids. Okay, they're saying that now, but I'm a wee bit of a cynic on these things. But convince me this is all okay. Will you do that? 203-333-9422, 333-WICC.
You listen to Melissa in the Morning, live from the Voice of Connecticut studios. But now, she's coming to your town.
Order up.
It's the WICC Brown Roofing Melissa in the Morning Diner Tour. Every Thursday morning, join Melissa Sheketoff as she broadcasts live from diners across Fairfield County. She'll interview local leaders, selectmen, and everyone that makes your town great. Get a full schedule at voiceofct.com and join us. Presented by Maritime Chevrolet, AARP Connecticut, and Connecticut Education Association.
This is the Duchess Restaurant Concert Guide. Duchess Restaurants. Fresh food served fast.
Thursday, May 15th, it's Paula Cole at the Kate at 7:30. Friday, May 16th, Kool and the Gang take the stage at the Palace Theater in Stamford. Saturday, May 24th, it's Megan Maroney at the Mohegan Sun Arena. It starts at 8 p.m. Thursday, May 29th, it's Blues Traveler at the Capitol Theater. Show starts at 8 p.m. On Saturday, June 7th, it's Debbie Gibson at Foxwoods Resort Casino in the Grand Cedar Showroom. Sunday, June 8th, it's Halsey at Mohegan Sun Arena. Show starts at 7. Monday, June 9th, it's Amy Mann at the Ridgefield Playhouse. And on Sunday, June 15th, Suzanne Vega also at the Ridgefield Playhouse.
The Duchess Restaurant Concert Guide. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, get fresh food served fast at any one of our 12 Duchess restaurants located throughout Connecticut. Duchess Restaurants. Fresh food served fast.
You're listening to WICC 600 and 95.9, the Voice of Connecticut, broadcasting from Cadillac of Greenwich Studios, CadillacofGreenwich.com.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Looking for a reliable dentist in your neighborhood? Columbia Dental's Norwalk office is here for you. Located at 91 East Avenue, our team of general dentists and an oral surgeon are ready to serve you. As part of the Columbia Implant Center network in Manchester, we offer 7-day-a-week services, including an in-house digital dental lab for same-day emergency care. Visit our website at columbiadental.com for more information and to book your appointment today. Your smile is our priority.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Mental health awareness is growing, but there's still work to be done. 26% of Americans recently surveyed have avoided seeking mental health support due to fear of judgment. When people hesitate to seek support, it doesn't just affect them. It impacts families, workplaces, and entire communities. This Mental Health Awareness Month, let's encourage everyone to take care of their well-being and to help break the stigma, because the world is better with emotionally healthy people. At BetterHelp, we have over 10 years of experience matching you with the right therapist so you can access support from the privacy of home and on your schedule. Give online therapy a try or share it with a loved one. Whether it's for regular maintenance, help with grieving a loss, or to work through your anxiety, it's a great tool for your wellness. We're all better with help. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABC Radio.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, hour and 20, Greenwich to Bridgeport Parkway really isn't much help. Slow ride starts before Round Hill Road. Out of New Haven, 91 southbound. You're on the brakes from exit 6 down through the merge and through Long Wharf. Wilbur Cross southbound is a little bit easier. 84 eastbound, jamming through Danbury into the Super 7. And in Hamden, accident reported on Whitney Avenue right at the Route 40 connector. Traffic report is powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliuson and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two, otherwise partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Ask Alexa to play WICC.
Playing WICC.
Back to Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 and 95.9.
The voice of Connecticut.
All right, you and I together, 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. Real quick, let's chat with Charles in Danbury if we can. Charles, how are you?
Hey, Paul. Good afternoon. Regarding what you mentioned with this case with the homeschooling, I think they got it twisted around the wrong way here.
Yeah.
And I know I've called you about this before, but how about placing more emphasis on getting more DCF workers in the department to kind of manage all these cases that come in, and maybe you'll have less of this sort of, scenarios with, child abuse and whatnot. And instead, the route they're going is, placing blame or kind of like shaming homeschooling parents when it should be about a concerted effort to get more people into the DCF ranks to get more, to cover these issues more.
That's
Charles, my
no,
thought on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And good Lord, we have been trying to get DCF right, quote unquote, in this state for decades. I can remember when I was just doing reporting and anchoring newscasts on this 40 years ago when it used to be called DCYS. Remember that? Department of Children and Youth Services. Another legacy here in Connecticut. Here's a guy who's got his eye on some big stories this afternoon. Dan Haar, Hearst Connecticut Media, senior editor and a columnist. Dan, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. Great to be here.
And tell us the details you have there of this, because this piqued my interest. This surcharge on capital gains, is this the 1.75% thing that was floated a few weeks ago?
Well, it's more than floated. It's in law. It's not in law. It's in the package from the Finance Committee. So it is the official policy position that's on the table from Democrats in the House and Senate. So that proposal is very much at the table. But what happened this morning, which caught my interest, is in an offhand way, quietly, Speaker of the House, Matt Ritter.
Yeah.
I'm off by 25 years.
Yeah.
The Speaker of the House just sort of casually said to somebody, well, we have the 76 votes we need for that. He said this, and I'm not quoting exactly, I'm paraphrasing. He said, we do not have the 101 votes, meaning for an override.
Yeah.
And then he said, the governor is going to have to make a decision. And that is, in legislative speak, that is a shot across the bow that is saying, we're going to put this on Lamont's desk, right? Now, remember, the capital gains tax surcharge has come up almost every year at the hands of Senator Looney, who favors it very strongly. He most certainly has the votes in the Senate, without question, because that's his pet policy. It has never cleared out of the Finance Committee, at least since COVID, that I'm aware of, right? I know, and somebody might correct me on a year, but I don't think it has. And so here it not only has cleared out of the Finance Committee, but they're talking about not letting it die in negotiations and really, potentially jamming this down Lamont's throat. And the governor is on record saying that's a bad idea and he doesn't want to see it.
Yeah, wow. And the fact that they may just put it in dare him. Interesting stuff, Dan Har. Interesting. You wrote a piece on the Yukon Health Center. We've talked about Yukon Health before. Great work there. The doctors, the researchers, they're wonderful. But money is another aspect with Yukon Health. So what's the latest on that?
Yukon Health as a whole institution, including the medical school, the dental school, the research, most of which is tied to the medical school, and of course John Dempsey Hospital, 234, now rising to 254 beds, is as a whole, it requires a state subsidy, and that is as should be with the medical school. Medical schools don't pay for themselves; they're part of that they might, but this one doesn't.
Yeah.
But the hospital should pay for itself, and that's the opinion of the new chairman of the board, who I wrote about, John Driscoll. John Driscoll is a veteran executive of healthcare companies. He worked for Walgreens. He sold a company, CareCentrix, based in Hartford, to Walgreens for $1 billion. So he's been at the top level of healthcare from both the sort of insurance side, the provider side, and he's now the chairman of the board of Yukon Health. I didn't even know Yukon Health had a board, but they do. And his goal is to shore up the finances. He makes a very clear point that under Andrew Aguanobi, the CEO, Yukon Health is doing great by patients, great by safety, great for outcomes. No problem there.
Yeah.
They are expanding the facility here and there, but they need to do more financially. And one possible way to do that is by buying another hospital, possibly joining in a partnership with another hospital. And that's pretty dramatic stuff in a state that has questioned the need to even have a state general hospital in many recent years.
Yeah, and the one thing you do here, Dan, and you've said that over and over again, is it's basically a money thing. Nobody I've ever heard, especially people I know who've had parents and elderly folks at John Dempsey and Yukon Health, has ever questioned the care. That's not the issue. Dan Har, Hearst, Connecticut Media. A couple of more minutes with him. Dan, I guess Chris Murphy will not be buying the Trump coins. What? Explain that to us, please.
Well, he's doing everything he can to save the nation, and part of it is he wants to have a bill that prevents. I mean, it would be a targeted bill, but how it's worded, I don't know exactly. But it would prevent people like sitting presidents from being able to sell commodities like this. This is, in the opinion of Chris Murphy, this is, or should I say, this is Chris Murphy's latest opinion of the most outrageous form of corruption. And there's no question that it's corruption. I mean, on January 17th, 3 days before the inauguration, the president rolls out this coin, and he has this isn't subtle. The top 220 buyers of the coin are going to have access to him at a big, party.
Yeah.
And so he essentially is personally enriching himself. Not essentially, he is personally enriching himself and his family with the sale of a bogus coin. Obviously, a crypto coin in and of itself has no value.
Yeah.
It only has value if its value is created. And I would argue that 99% of the value of the Trump coin is derived from access to Trump. So we, the people, should have the money that derives from that. It's an American, if he's selling access to the government, and it's our government. But Chris Murphy wants to stop that. And obviously it's symbolic. He's not going to get that through either house of Congress.
Sure.
But it's just, it's a, sponsoring legislation is a language that legislators use to make a statement. And his statement is, this is the single most corrupt thing the president is doing.
And it'll get him in the news cycle, too. So kudos to Senator Murphy on that. And finally, and I've been talking about this on and off throughout the day, Dan Har, this real ID. But for some folks, and I did read the piece earlier today, various pieces on this, some folks, even if they have all the documentation or they don't, or may have trouble getting a real ID through the DMV here.
Yeah, the problem is that if you're in the gray area, a DACA recipient, for example, or TPS, temporary protective status, I think people don't realize that many immigrants, millions of immigrants, are in a gray area. They're not fully recognized with the rights that we have to work and drive own business, all the stuff that we have the rights to and vote, certainly. But they are also not here as illegal immigrants. Many of these people, Trump and his administration are trying to deport. But while we're having that debate, today is the day, happy May 7th, when you need a real ID in order to travel on a plane. And Connecticut, unlike other states, does not have a temporary license. That's the problem. And the commissioner spoke about that. We don't have a license that you can give to somebody who doesn't have that sort of full status.
Yeah.
So the good news is that a passport works, and any number of other documents do work. But you can imagine that an airport, if somebody doesn't, some refugees don't have a passport.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a problem, but it's a problem with a fix. And I'm hopeful. I guess Tony Guerrero, the commissioner, is hopeful that the legislature might do something about it. I'm amazed that it took this long to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, didn't this pop into anybody's rhetorical question, Dan? Did that pop into anybody's head a few months ago or a couple of years ago, or did we just miss it?
I don't know. I think I was in 5th grade when this, higher level ID idea
20
came
years
about.
ago.
And I was in 5th grade, a little bit more than 20 years ago.
All right. Dan Haar, Hearst Connecticut Media. Dan, drive safely. We'll talk next week, sir. Thank you.
Have a great week.
You too, Dan. Take it. Yeah, so you can still fly. So don't go nuts here. If you, oh my God, I didn't know I had to go out of town. Grandpa's birthday or whatever, or my kids invited me, and I don't have a real ID. No, but you will need to fly if you don't have a real ID. They're saying bring other forms of identification with you, like, in fact, a passport, or renew your passport. Your Social Security card, if you have any idea where yours is, because I don't. I believe a notarized copy of your birth certificate works. Don't quote me on that. And also I read that you should also bring did I read this right? 2 different bills mailed to your name at the same address, mailed within 90 days of each other. But go online and check that. Consult your travel professional. Traffic and weather together right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound, hour and 20, Greenwich to Bridgeport Parkway really isn't much help. Slow ride starts before Round Hill Road. Out of New Haven, 91 southbound, you're on the brakes from exit 6 down through the merge and through Long Wharf. Well, across southbound is a little bit easier. 84 eastbound, jamming through Danbury into the Super 7. And in Hamden, accident reported on Whitney Avenue right at the Route 40 connector. Traffic report is powered by the Fairfield Law Office of Eliuson and Tenor. Give your family and yourself the most important gift you can give, peace of mind. Visit ConnecticutElderLaw.com. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Selling your home is a big decision. You deserve someone who truly listens and picks up the phone when you call. I'm Jonathan Carbeauty with Carbeauty Real Estate, and we make real estate simple. Whether you're ready to sell, just exploring your options, or even want a cash offer on your property, call me directly at 203-980-6886. No pressure, just real results.
Sell your home smoothly when you call Carbeauty. Go to CarBeautyRealEstate.com.
Connecticut Mega Millions is bigger than ever, with larger, faster-growing jackpots and bigger secondary prizes. Bigger than ever. Oh, and did we mention now every play automatically includes a multiplier that increases all non-jackpot prizes by up to 10 times? Yeah, bigger than ever. Play Connecticut Mega Millions today. Overall odds 1 in 23.1. Jackpot odds 1 in 291 million. Must be 18 or older. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org.
Discover fresh deals and cozy feels at Spectre Furniture, the trusted name for quality furniture and mattresses for 135 years. Visit their expanded Gold Bond Mattress Gallery featuring double-sided premium mattresses. That's right, double-sided and flippable. Made in America and adjustable bed friendly. Now on sale at Spectre Furniture Furniture and Mattress Gallery, Main Street, Ansonia. Trusted for 135 years. Spectre Furniture, Main Street, Ansonia, or online at spectrefurniture.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut.
CBS News special report. Black smoke signaled the first vote to select a new pope was unsuccessful. CBS's Bradley Blackburn.
Disappointment for the thousands gathered here in St. Peter's Square, but it's no surprise. No pope in modern history has been elected on the first ballot.
The longest conclave in history lasted nearly 3 years. Correspondent Seth Doan on one of the possible frontrunners.
Italian Cardinal Pietro Parolin. He was Pope Francis's Secretary of State. He's the right-hand man, the number 2, the top diplomat at the Vatican, and it's believed he has a fair number of votes.
Who would the faithful like to see? This man in Atlanta.
Pope that increases belief in the real presence of the Eucharist and increases mass attendance.
The Cardinals have retired for the night and will resume tomorrow. They are voting in secret and silence. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
Hundreds of homeschooling parents and children gathered at the state capitol to oppose proposed new regulations. The new rules have been introduced in response to the case of a Waterbury man who was withdrawn from school, then allegedly imprisoned in his family home for 2 decades. Some homeschooling families yesterday said that lawmakers are using the Waterbury case to restrict the freedom to teach their children. Westport Democratic State Senator C.C. Marr told WTNH-TV News 8 that the difficulty is balancing safety with educational freedom.
What we're looking at is how do we thread this needle of keeping children safe and supporting homeschooling?
State Republicans are taking issue with the bill as well. According to Channel 8, Senate Minority Leader Steve Harding, Republican from Brookfield, believes that the state is using homeschooling as a scapegoat.
Where's the informational hearing on DCF? Where's that informational hearing? That should have been done months ago.
Supporters say they are only trying to make sure homeschooled children are being properly educated. Connecticut is joining a multi-state lawsuit against the Trump administration over their efforts to freeze the development of wind energy. Attorney General William Tong says this is another effort by President Donald Trump to enrich the fossil fuel industry and illegally micromanage state businesses. Tong says Connecticut has the right to secure its own energy future and one that makes sense for its climate and costs. A jury has acquitted a Bridgeport man of murder but convicted him of first-degree manslaughter for a 2022 homicide in the city. The jury yesterday delivered the verdict in the case of 45-year-old Lawrence Blue, who claimed self-defense in the killing of Justice Hunter. The 23-year-old victim was stabbed in the chest on Atlantic Street in October of 2022. Blue faces up to 20 years in prison at sentencing in July. Holy Trinity Catholic Academy in Shelton is closing for good at the end of the academic year. The Diocese of Bridgeport indicates that financial issues and declining enrollment led to the decision to close the pre-K through 8th grade school. State Senator Jason Pirillo is also chair of the school's board of directors and says this is a painful but necessary decision. An event is scheduled at Holy Trinity Thursday afternoon for parents and students to learn about other nearby Catholic schools. Payer College of Art in Bridgeport is permanently closed after 79 years of operation. Last week, students who had been enrolled at Payer were informed that the school is now closed for good. Payer officials say all student academic records will be transferred to a third party designated by the state or to another accredited institution. The strike by around 3,000 machinists at Pratt & Whitney has entered a second day. The unionized workers hit the picket line early yesterday morning after failing to reach a new contract with the company and its parent RTX Corporation. The unions representing the striking employees say the jet engine maker has brought in replacement workers to fill the void while the strike is ongoing. WTNH-TV News 8 spoke with East Hartford Democratic State Senator Saad Anwar, who emphasized the importance of Pratt & Whitney on both a state and national level.
It's critical for our economy, but also for our country. In very uncertain times, Pratt & Whitney serves as a very important base for the machines and the work that we are making over here.
Pratt & Whitney says their offer to the union would provide competitive compensation while ensuring the company can grow in a difficult marketplace. Experts are warning that we are now at peak tick season in Connecticut. In addition to deer and dog ticks, residents should also be on the lookout for the invasive Asian longhorn and Lone Star species, which are growing in number statewide. If you are bitten by a tick, experts at the State Environmental Science and Forestry Lab suggest that you send it in for testing to determine your risk. Dr. Godarj Molay spoke with WFSB Channel 3 about the variety of information testing can give you.
What kind of risk they are at and what's the scope of the risk. And then we determine the engorgement status to somewhat estimate the amount of time those ticks have been on people.
If you're a dog owner, you should also make sure to check them before they come inside. The University of New Haven this morning announced that it has officially accepted an invitation to join the Northeast Conference and begin a reclassification to NCAA Division I. According to a release this morning, the Chargers' 17-year association with the NE10 will end on June 30th, at which time their affiliation with the NEC will begin. The conference said they are disappointed with the university's decision, but believe that Division II continues to offer the best path forward for the student-athlete experience. And today was the grand opening of Great Wolf Lodge, Mashantucket, at Foxwoods Resort Casino. The new attraction features a 91,000-square-foot water park, a 61,000-square-foot adventure park, and around 550 hotel rooms. Other features include duckpin bowling, a 24-hour game arcade, and multiple dining options. Governor Ned Lamont was on hand for today's ribbon-cutting ceremony at the new attraction. I'm Chris Williams with WICC News.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound over an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Parkway is no help right now. Out of New Haven, 91 southbound over 20 minutes from exit 6 down through the merge and through Long Wharf, and the congestion follows you into West Haven as well. Northbound side, you're on the brakes going through Orange 2. On the Wilbur Cross, it's a little bit easier going into the tunnel. 84 eastbound, jamming through Danbury and Newtown. Traffic report is powered by Courtesy Carpet Flooring Design Center. Now's the time for a fresh new look for your home. Save on top flooring brands at Courtesy Carpet. No big box gimmicks, just fair, honest prices. Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two. Otherwise, partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
If Shelton is talking about it, so is Paul. Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
Okay, a little more action up at the state capitol today regarding this whole homeschooling thing. We'll get to that momentarily. But I want to give you a little piece of audio here. Now, our legislative leaders in the state, a lot of them use social media, some more than others. Some barely use it on either side of the aisle, and some are really good and interesting in the way they use it. So somebody sent me this last night, and they said, hey, take a look at this and listen to the end of it. I'm like, the end of it, all right. Now, we all know that Democratic State Senator Bob Duff of Norwalk, the Democratic Senate leader, is no fan of Donald Trump. In fact, Bob Duff, remember during the campaign, was posting YouTube videos of Donald Trump linking him to Hitler and racism and stuff like that. Well, my point is, when you go the Hitler route or the fascism route or the sexism or racism route, you're pretty much waving the flag saying, hey, I don't want to discuss policy here. I don't want to engage you on policy and actually be challenged to defend a policy. And with Trump, and with a lot of people who, listen, I understand people love Trump, they hate him, that's not the issue. The issue is when you play the race card, that means you're out of gas. You're on fumes. When you play the race card. Now, how is he playing the race card here? I'm going to play the audio track of an Instagram post, right? And it was about a 30-second Instagram post. And what Bob Duff is doing here, again, this was sent to me. This wasn't, this is not AI. This was an Instagram post on Senator Duff's Instagram account, which, listen, it's a creative post, I guess what he's doing here. And it is to tell people that, and he's right about this, that executive orders from any White House don't have the gravity of law usually, or they can be challenged in court. The ideal way to pass legislation would be to have Congress do it. But you and I both know Congress takes years and years and years to move on even the simplest things that most Americans would say, you couldn't do this in a couple of days, but that's beside the point. So I want you to listen to, this runs like 50 seconds, 50 seconds. And they say they spoof an executive order about Diet Coke. They spoof an executive order about what can be said in the Senate chamber in Hartford. They spoof an executive order about M&Ms. And they spoof an executive order right at the end about driving. And listen to the kind of little, race card played by the guy who was the leader of the state Senate Democratic caucus. Maestro, if you please.
You can't do that. There's an executive order against free speech.
M&Ms. Can't have those. Executive order on M&Ms. What?
Okay, so you see where they're going.
You cannot have it. Only he can.
You can't drive. There's an executive order against driving.
But my car's white.
Oh, that's okay then.
You see where we went there? It was a cute video until the end where we had to play the race card. Yeah, I'll play that part of it again for you.
You can't drive. There's an executive order against driving.
But my car's white.
Oh, that's okay then.
Senator, we're playing the race card again. Yeah.
You can't drive. There's an executive order against driving.
But my car's white.
Oh, that's okay then.
So they still can't figure out why Trump won again. And again, you can dislike the guy all you want. You can say, I can't believe it. But at least open your eyes and realize maybe there's something wrong with your party on, guns, taxes, immigration. Oh, did I say immigration? Genetic males playing in against women and young girls. But no, we don't do that, Senator. We play the race card.
You can't drive. There's an executive order against driving.
But my car's white.
Oh, that's okay then.
That posted by the leader of the state Senate Democrats in Connecticut, Senator Bob Duff of Norwalk. How's that working, Norwalk? Take a break, come back. A lot more for you right here, right now on WICC.
The Greater Bridgeport Symphony is proud to present Something Big, Maestro Eduardo Leandro's grand inaugural concert as GBS's new music director and principal conductor, performing works by Brahms and Mendelssohn, featuring Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, with guest pianist Andrew Armstrong, Saturday, May 10th at 7:30 p.m. It's Mother's Day Eve. Bring your mom to the Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport. Tickets $18 to $72, sponsored by the Ernest and Joan Treffs Foundation. Get tickets now at gbs.org. Greater Bridgeport Symphony.
If you are in the market for a new car, come see the best-selling Chevy Equinox at Maritime Chevrolet of Fairfield. We welcome your Tesla trade-in, and whether you want gas or electric, we have you covered. Explore the possibilities with 4 models of this exceptional everyday driver rated an overall 5-star NHTSA safety rating. Choose the 4-cylinder turbo or up to 300 horsepower electric Equinox all-wheel drive. There's an Equinox for everyone at Maritime Chevrolet of Fairfield or MaritimeChevy.com.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Looking for a reliable dentist in your neighborhood? Columbia Dental's Norwalk office is here for you. Located at 91 East Avenue, our team of general dentists and an oral surgeon are ready to serve you. As part of the Columbia Implant Center network in Manchester, we offer 7-day-a-week services, including an in-house digital dental lab for same-day emergency care. Visit our website at columbiadental.com for more information and to book your appointment today. Your smile is our priority.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound over an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Parkway is no help right now. Out of New Haven, 91 southbound over 20 minutes from exit 6 down through the merge and through Long Wharf, and the congestion follows you into West Haven as well. Northbound side, you're on the brakes going through Orange 2. On the Wilbur Cross, it's a little bit easier going into the tunnel. 84 eastbound jamming through Danbury and Newtown. Traffic report is powered by Courtesy Carpet Flooring Design Center. Now's the time for a fresh new look for your home. Save on top flooring brands at Courtesy Carpet. No big box gimmicks, just fair, honest prices. Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. I'm Mitch Krause with WICC Traffic.
An evening shower, otherwise partly cloudy overnight with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. Friday, rain, cool with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Let's get back to the conversation. 203-333-9422. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli, the voice of Connecticut. WICC 600 and 95.9.
All right, couple of minutes left. If you want to slide in here, come on in. The water's fine. Lots of chlorine in this water. Not fluoride in the Utah water. I guess do we want to get rid of fluoride? Are we sure? Listen, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., some of the stuff I'm like, really? Stop. I don't want to get into this now, but let's be careful with vaccines, okay? Vaccines work. Now, I know there are differing opinions on how many vaccines we should get, how the pile has gotten bigger over the years. I get it. But you cannot, with any semblance of intelligence, argue that vaccinations have helped quell and calm outbreaks of disease. Yes, I know there's herd immunity. Okay? I, for one, don't want to serve in a herd. Give me a shot. I'm getting a new pneumonia vaccine next week. Why are you getting that, Paul? Because I'd prefer, at my age, I'm in decent shape, I'd prefer my age at 64 not to get pneumonia. Why did I get a shingles vaccine? Because my best friend from high school got shingles, and he said it was the most freaking painful thing he could imagine. So there you go. So, Secretary Kennedy, let's be careful on the vaccines. I don't think anybody wants to, just for the heck of it, bring back disease anymore. But I digress. Actually, I was talking about his push to get rid of fluoride in water. Now, and you see that's happening, I guess, in Utah, State of Utah will no longer put fluoride in its public drinking water, whatever that means, reservoirs, whatever. I mean, fluoridation, and there are some discussions here, and there are some debates here as to, A, do we need fluoride anymore? And B, if we need it, how much do we need it? There's been talk over the years that it could be kind of a backdoor cause of autism here and stuff like that. 203-333-9422, 333-WICC. The controversy over homeschooling took another twist today. This press release sent to me a few minutes ago by the state Republicans in Hartford. I will just read it to you as it appears here, and we'll follow up on this in the coming days. The Connecticut State Senate Republican Caucus issued the following statement regarding a May 7th vote, that's today's vote, in support of an amendment requiring, now the amendment would have required the state's child advocate to analyze the effects of the Department of Children and Families' remote work policies on the safety of kids in the state. Now, let me back off from this release just to explain what's going on here. There's been a controversy as to DCF working at home during COVID, still continuing some of them to work at home. Is this affecting the monitoring of children? Now, Republicans said, quote, "We continue to seek accountability in addressing the horrific tragedy that occurred in Waterbury, where a young man known to DCF was held captive for decades. To make sure this never happens again, we must take a holistic approach. Any failings in any state government department must be corrected." Okay. Republicans say, quote, "We offered an amendment to make a point targeting and scapegoating the Connecticut homeschooling community is short-sighted and wrong. We thank the homeschooling community for coming out by the thousands this week at the Capitol to send that clear message to lawmakers. It was truly inspiring to witness, but that Republican amendment was voted down by majority Senate Democrats." Okay. Now, again, as somebody asked me either yesterday or the day before, can't they do this? Can't they do that? Well, listen, the majority Democrats in Hartford will not do any, and this isn't me waving the flag here. It's a fact. There's a symbiotic relationship between the Democratic leadership in Hartford and the state employee unions, and that's fine. Everybody vote, everybody gets a vote. But if you think anything's going to be done to turn the screws on how DCF or any state agency operates there because Republicans want a better look at it, it's never going to happen. This had 6 Republican co-sponsors: Steve Harding, Jason Perillo, Rob Sampson, John Kissel, Paul Ciccarella, and Tony Wong. And it reads thusly. I will read it to you. It's one paragraph. No later than January 15th of 2026, so by the time next January rolls around, the state child advocate shall submit a report in accordance with provisions of Connecticut General Statute, Section 11-4A, to standing committees of the General Assembly having the cognizance of matters connected to children and education. Okay. Such a report shall include an analysis of the policies of the Department of Children and Families relating to the ability of DCF employees to complete work hours from such employees' homes and the effect, if any, such policies have on the safety of kids in the state. No later than 30 days after the submission of such a report, the joint standing committees of the General Assembly connected to education and children shall hold an informational forum on such a report. So basically, the Republicans are asking there, And all these gentlemen, regular guests here on the program, Jason Perillo, Steve Harding, Rob Sampson, John Kissel, Paul Ciccarella, and Tony Wong saying, hey, is there any connection here between the fact that you had a lot of DCF workers, I guess some of which still work from home? I don't know about that. But can we just ask the question here, can there be any sort of an analysis put together on this to see if these home work rules, which I guess are still in contention in Hartford, had anything to do? Is there any parallel? Now, if you're a progressive, if you're a state employee, if you work for DCF, if you're a member of the Democratic majority, you can probably see this and say, yeah, they're playing political games here. They're trying to blame state employees. Well, for everybody who says the Republicans are being unfair by blaming state employees, there's also the other side of the aisle who say, well, wait a minute, the majority is going to defend them without even an analysis here? What are we doing here? So, again, this was offered today and voted down in Hartford. Again, it came from our friends Jason Perillo, Steve Harding, Rob Sampson, Tony Wong, Paul Ciccarella, and John Kissel. What they asked for was a report seeking out if there's any connection between home work policies of DCF and what may or may not have happened in Waterbury and other cases as well. But no, ain't gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Let's wrap it up right here on WICC.
WICC Smart MLS Right Now Traffic.
95 northbound over an hour from Greenwich to Bridgeport. The Parkway is no help right now. Out of New Haven, 91 southbound over 20 minutes from exit 6 down through the merge and through Long Wharf, and the congestion follows you into West Haven as well. Northbound side, you're on the brakes going through Orange 2. On the Wilbur Cross, it's a little bit easier going into the tunnel. 84 eastbound, jamming through Danbury and Newtown. Traffic report is powered by Courtesy Carpet Flooring Design Center. Now's the time for a fresh new look for your home. Save on top flooring brands at Courtesy Carpet. No big box gimmicks, just fair, honest prices. Courtesy Carpet, Route 111 in Monroe. I'm Edge Krause with WICC Traffic.
For this evening and overnight, an early shower or two. Otherwise, partly cloudy with a low in the low 50s. Partly sunny tomorrow. There will be a few scattered showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon with a high near 70. A wet Friday on the way with rain, maybe heavy in the afternoon with a high near 60. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
Rocket.com is the new home for all things home ownership. Whether you're buying your first home, finding your next one, or unlocking home equity to fund one of your dreams, there's only one destination that has everything you need to get started, all under one roof. Get started today at Rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Become a Yankees Universe Fan Club member today. Rookie and Explorer packages are now available. All Yankees Universe members receive a membership card, 2 tickets to a 2025 home game, access to a members-only website, and MLB audio at bat. Rookie tier members will also receive a New York Yankees t-shirt. A portion of all proceeds is donated to Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, benefiting pediatric cancer research. Join Yankees Universe today by visiting yankees.com/universe.
Back to the news and talk, thanks to Smart MLS. Smart Sellers Ask. Is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC's 695.9. It's Connecticut Today with Paul Piselli.
All right, the big news out of today's here show is that if you're an upper income individual, it certainly looks like you might be either you, if you filed your taxes a single filer, or if you file jointly with a husband, wife, spouse, domestic partner, live-in, agumad, whatever, and you make a certain level, it looks like, according to what Dan Harr told us from Hearst Connecticut Media, there is support. Enough heads. The heads have been counted in the General Assembly, according to what he heard from Matt Ritter, the House Speaker, that there could be a 1.75% surtax, an addendum, not a tax increase, but there could be an extra 1.75% tax on capital gains to upper income earners here in the state, ostensibly to pay for more money for social programs or whatever. Now, obviously, this is targeted on Fairfield County, but according to what Dan Haar said, Matt Ritter said they can only guarantee the 76, which would mean the simple majority. It does. There was no indication as to whether or not there would be a veto-proof majority on this one. So we'll pick that up tomorrow. I don't have to worry about that income level. Trust me. Chris Williams, thank you. Folks, be good. We're back tomorrow at 2.
WICC Bridgeport, WFOX Southport, WEBE HD2 Westport, WPLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. Black smoke in Rome, day one of the conclave, produced no consensus on a new pope. CBS's Bradley Blackburn.
Disappointment for the thousands gathered here in St. Peter's Square, but it's no surprise. No pope in modern history has been elected on the first ballot.
CBS's Vicki Barker.
Among perceived frontrunners, Vatican number 2, Cardinal Parolin. CBS papal contributor John Allen.
Cardinal Parolin was born in northern Italy. He has spent virtually his entire adult life as part of the Vatican's diplomatic corps.
But it's generally acknowledged lacking charisma, unlike Cardinal Tagle of the Philippines, says author and Jesuit priest Thomas Rees.
He's very pastoral. The people love him. He's a social media meme.
It may take several rounds for this diverse and divided conclave to choose. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
Ahead of the conclave, there was pink smoke, a protest message of sorts to the all-male cardinals.
Women are sending a clear signal that they cannot go in with 133 men deciding the future of the Catholic Church without half of that Catholic Church.
They were convicted on federal charges and face possible prison time, but 3 former Memphis police officers were acquitted today on state charges in the beating death of black motorist Tyree Nichols after he ran away from a traffic stop. Shelby County DA Steve Mulroy.
Was I surprised that there wasn't a single guilty verdict on any of the counts or any of the lesser included offenses, given the overwhelming evidence that I think that we presented? Yes, I was surprised.
The out-of-town jury was from a majority white county. The Fed today kept a key interest rate unchanged. Fed Chair Jerome Powell's reasoning.
The tariff increases announced so far have been significantly larger than anticipated. All these policies are still evolving, however, and their effects on the economy remain highly uncertain.
Many parents are uncertain about the effects of tariffs, even with the U.S.-China talk set for this weekend. Jem Krasula reports.
Jennifer Katawi owns a baby goods store in New York City.
Just today, I had to re-tag a number of items because they have gone up just in the last 24 hours.
Nearly every car seat, a stroller, bassinet, and changing table sold in the U.S. are made in China and are now subject to 145% tariffs.
The president was asked today if he'd consider exemptions for some items like baby products.
I want to make it nice and simple. I'm not looking to have so many exemptions that nobody knows what's doing. We have to make it very simple.
The talks with China are set for Saturday in Switzerland. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he'll be taking part. On Wall Street, the Dow finished off its highs, but up 284 points. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
A favorite moment from Melissa in the morning on WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
It's interesting that we're having a conversation today about rapid responses to behavioral and pharmaceutical obesity treatments for binge eating disorders, because this same week I saw Weight Watchers just filed for bankruptcy, a sign of the times, right? You hear all the time about these injections, for example, with semaglutide in it, and how it's really changing people's lives, and there are a lot of great health implications. This Yale study really examines this rapid response and the significance it's having in people who have binge eating disorder or obesity. And to talk about this, the study's author, Janet Leidecker, joins us back from Yale. And Janet, thank you for giving us the time. Let's talk about some of the highlights, the significance of this most recent study.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. I would say the real take home is that patients who did well in the first month of treatment went on to continue to do well. And that really means that patients need to be monitored throughout their time on a treatment. And if they're not responding immediately to a treatment, then they need to discuss with their provider if they should pivot to something different. Because we did not see that patients who didn't have that initial response went on to make up time over the rest of treatment.
Why would someone not respond well to that treatment? And I don't mean, getting sick from it. We know that sort of varies.
Yeah,
but why
sure.
would it not work in some, but it works unbelievably in others?
Well, so we did test a few different treatments. So one was behavioral, and then one was an anti-obesity medication, like you were talking about. And, sometimes people are more suited to a behavioral, sometimes they're more suited to a medication, sometimes it's the right time for a behavioral treatment or medication, and sometimes, we have a bunch of medications and they all work in different ways in the brain and in the body, and some people might respond better to some than others, but we often don't know until they actually try it.
So that's interesting. And do you mind, I don't know if you're allowed to,
Sure.
Janet, name drop, just to give examples. So when we talk about, because that's two totally different things, when we talk about behavioral treatments versus, again, like obesity, weight loss, we're talking about two different types of approaches, two different types of patients even.
Well, same patient. So
Same type
all
of patient,
these
okay.
patients had binge eating disorder as well as a higher weight. The medication that we used was naltrexone bupropion, which sometimes goes by the name of Contrave. So not one of the newer GLP-1s. It's actually one that's been around for about a decade, but the individual pieces have been around for much longer. So we know that it's a very safe medication, and that's why we had chosen that one for this study.
Okay. And that one you said was which, the behavioral or the weight loss?
That's the medication.
That's the medication.
Bupropion.
Got it.
And
Okay.
then the behavioral treatment is lifestyle modifications. So it's based on a few different things, but it's working with a psychologist to set goals and to make small changes that end up adding up to nutrition and exercise.
Interesting. Okay. I'm on board with you now, Janet. I got you. So you're saying, do you go the, changing sort of, I guess, your behavioral habits, changing the way you do your life versus going the medical route, the medication, I should say, route. Okay.
Yes, that was our question, but we actually found that the more important thing was whether people responded in that first month. It didn't matter if it was behavioral or medication so much as did they have that initial response.
Wow, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
I mean, honestly, yeah, no, it is. And again, we have Janet Leidecker here with Yale, and in this new study that was done to really look at the significance of if you were to change, let's say, your behavioral habits, or you were to get on a weight loss medication, what really makes the difference in that first month of trying this new lifestyle change. And you're saying it really came down to almost like a personal preference of, are you on board with it? Are you dedicated to it, sort of, or not, is what I'm understanding.
Well, yeah, not a preference, but whether it was working for them, which could have been just how the physiology was for the medication, or what else is going on in their life. So it wasn't so much a preference as whether it worked.
So like with
a couple of things.
I was going to
No,
say
go ahead.
with behavioral. No, please. I find this really fascinating. So, like with behavioral, for example, I mean, there are things that are out of our control. So, if you were to go that route, I would say even the medication route. So, if you're going through, depression, or you just had a loss in the family, or you lost your job or something, and maybe those wouldn't be very effective. So, that's interesting. Okay, that's really interesting.
Exactly. So we've had people, for example, who might change jobs and then it just gets to be too much to come in for a weekly appointment to meet with someone. And so for whatever reason, that